Hey guys, it's Kevin Gensmer for Girl Meets World, Season 2, Episode 11, Girl Meets Fish, and I was particularly not looking forward to this episode. I thought the idea really looked stupid, the plot seemed dumb, and I just wasn't looking forward to it. It seemed kind of like a filler episode. And this was definitely a strange episode, because I don't know if you guys know this, but this was actually a rejected Season 1 episode that they probably just put in Season 2 because they wanted to air it. And whenever an episode isn't aired, there's a good reason why, and this is understandable why. I mean, this episode was weird. It was weird, honestly. I mean, for Girl Meets World, definitely, it was weird. I mean, there was no lesson, really. Even though they tried to come up with a lesson, there really was no lesson. And it was Augie-centric. There was some really great stuff in this episode that I thought was really funny. But for the most part, this was probably one of my least favorite episodes of Girl Meets World, I think, ever. And I'm very happy that it wasn't aired in Season 1. I would have preferred it not being aired at all. Although there were some things I loved about this episode, it was probably my least favorite episode. Yeah, it was worse than Girl Meets Rules. I'm not going to count it as a Season 2 episode. It's part of Season 2, but it was meant to be Season 1. So I'm not really going to count it for this season because it wasn't meant to be aired. I personally feel they just decided they should air it because they're just like, alright, whatever, it wasn't that bad. And no, it wasn't that bad. It was just so weird for Girl Meets World to be this kind of episode. But let's just get into it. It was very weird. The thing that made no sense to me is right in the beginning we see Augie and Topanga in Riley's class, and I was thinking this was going to be for like a show and tell thing, or this was something that Augie was picked to do. I mean, there was no explanation why they were there. Just, they were there. It was weird. Basically, there's this class fish, Chelsea, who Augie has taken care of, and that's what didn't make sense to me, because Augie doesn't go to their school. He's in elementary school. So why is Augie, like, the focus of this episode? I didn't understand this. Basically, Augie is, he's obsessed with this show called Owl Detectives, which I think is really funny. That whole stuff I thought was hilarious. Everything with the Film Noir, I'm going to get into that. It was hilarious. But basically, there's this class fish that they all have named Chelsea. And it's Riley's turn to take care of her, because I guess once a week they do that. And this felt very elementary school. I mean, they're not in elementary school. They're in middle school. I never had something like that in middle school. I mean, elementary school, yeah, but not middle school. Very, very strange. I mean, I can't think of a lot of middle schools that have a class fish other than a science class. And this wasn't even a science class, this is a history class. Why in the world does a history class have a class fish? It doesn't make sense to me. I just didn't understand that at all. It was really strange, and it didn't really work right away. And Riley basically tries to take a picture with the fish, and it doesn't end up going well because she realizes that the fish is dead, and Augie is convinced that somebody killed the fish, while Riley's just convinced that she killed it, but Augie's convinced there's more, so we get this whole murder investigation. Pretty hilarious stuff, though, I do have to say. All the stuff with Augie and Film Noir I thought was great. I love Ava being, like, the flirty detective, the flirty assistant detective. That was hilarious. This might be my favorite Ava episode, because she was so not Ava. It was hilarious. I mean, it wasn't Ava that we particularly know. I mean, she's flirting with Lucas at one point. I mean, they went all out with her. They had her in a dress. She wasn't rude. She was her, attention whore self. That is always hilarious. But I love this side of Ava. Honestly, I'd love to see more of this Ava. While I do really like Ava, and she is definitely starting to grow on me as a character, I thought what they did with Ava in this episode was pretty fucking hilarious. I really did love it. But basically, Riley and Maya try to get a new Chelsea to cover up what happened, and they start to investigate the murder as it goes on, and they question each person. And I could tell that this was a Season 1 episode because Farkle's voice was definitely higher than it's been, because you can tell Farkle's voice is changing. I've said this before. Farkle's voice is changing, definitely, and you can tell that. And here he had the high-pitched voice. I'm like, what? And Riley's looked different. Maya looked like Season 1. It was a very Season 1 episode. It was just very strange, definitely, and I think right off the bat, that really not ruin the episode, but definitely made it a weird episode for me. It wasn't the normal episode that we're used to. But basically, they each take turns figuring out who this fish is, and Riley and Maya go to get a new Chelsea from the pet store owner, who I did not find funny at all. I didn't like his character. I didn't find him funny. I don't know why they thought it was really funny what they were doing with him. I really didn't find it that funny. But make a long story short, Augie starts accusing everyone, and eventually we realize that the entire class killed the fish. They've each had a turn with him, and they've killed, well, her, him, whatever it was, her. They killed the class fish 5 times, each of them. So Riley, Maya, Lucas, Farkle, and basically they've killed it 5 times, and they had to bring a new Chelsea in, which I thought that was just so stupid. I thought that was so dumb when they did that, and I didn't find it funny at all. But what I really did love, as I said, was the Film Noir stuff. I mean, when Augie was talking in a lisp, that was gold. Him and Lucas interacting. We've never seen this interaction between Augie and Lucas before. Was hilarious. Seeing the Riley obsessed with Lucas. I mean, we have not seen this in so long because we're past that. This was, again, a Season 1 episode when Lucas was like the center of Riley's attention. Now they're pretty much friends. They pretty much established that relationship is not going to work out. So she's not really after him anymore, but this was back when she still liked him, and it was pretty funny to see that happen. I mean, because it's so different now, it was definitely really funny to see Riley flirt with Lucas. That was something I thought was really funny. There are some rumors that Maya and Lucas are going to get together, and I honestly hope that is true, because I think those two would be perfect together, honestly. I've seen that happening. I've seen Farkle, Riley, Lucas, Maya. That's how I've seen it, in my opinion. That's what I've wanted. But then, as I said, Ava flirting with Lucas, that was just genius when Augie was shocked. I mean, just what she was saying was so not Ava. It was great. Eventually, Augie realizes that he was actually the one that killed the class fish, and again, this makes no sense. He fed the fish graham crackers in and out of the classroom, and basically, he didn't realize that when you feed a goldfish graham crackers, it kills the fish, and basically that's how he killed the class fish. And I just thought it was so stupid, honestly. I didn't care. It was like we spent a whole episode just finding out that Augie killed the class fish. And again, it makes no sense, because Augie doesn't go to their school. Why is he even near the class fish? Yeah, I guess I know he's Corey's son, and Corey's teaching the class, but why is he in their class? Why was he at the school? There was no explanation whatsoever of why he was there. It didn't make any sense to me at all. So basically, he's discovered the murder, and he solves it and everything, and Riley tells him it's okay, and then we get to what might be the dumbest classroom scene I think we've ever had, because they're asking Corey what the lesson is. He tells them there's no lesson, and they talk about, like, the fish's age and how it was meant to live. It didn't make any sense to me at all. I didn't get what they were trying to say. It just felt odd. And then Corey tells them that they're going on this field trip, and I would have wanted to see this. I would have wanted to see them go on this field trip in Season 1. That is the only reason I would have wanted this episode. If you guys can't tell, I pretty much hated this episode besides the Film Noir stuff. All the Film Noir nods were hilarious. What didn't make sense to me, though, is why was it in black and white and then randomly go to color? It really did not work the way they handled that. I mean, it just felt odd. Like, Augie was still acting like a detective when they went to color. Why did we have to go to black and white? I didn't understand that. I didn't understand what exactly they were trying to do. I mean, what they did with Ava was pretty understandable. What they were trying to do with Augie, the black and white really did not work for me. And let me tell you my main problem with this episode. I didn't hate this episode, okay? I didn't hate it. It just felt odd. I mean, it's a Season 1 episode, and plus, it wasn't very funny. It really wasn't. And that's because Season 1, they didn't really understand the show yet. They were still trying to figure it out. And Season 2, they pretty much, everything's been funny. Really, everything for the most part has been funny. But again, I really can't credit this episode as a Season 2 episode because it was meant to be a Season 1 episode, but they rejected it, and that's understandable. It's not that it's a bad episode, it's just a bad episode of Girl Meets World because it's so off from the rest of the show. I mean, Boy Meets World, they did episodes with, like, they went to the 60s and the 30s, but it worked because they were actually in that decade. This just fell off. It was so weird to have this Augie-centric episode when Augie shouldn't even have been in the classroom. Have a class fish when they're in middle school. It's just weird stuff. Why would a history teacher have... I know I'm nitpicking, but it didn't make sense to me, and it really took away from my enjoyment of the episode, I have to say. I really didn't enjoy this episode as much as I want to. There were a lot of things I liked, as I said. I did think the film noir stuff was pretty hilarious, but the fact that we didn't have a lesson, I mean, this is Girl Meets World. How do we not have some kind of lesson in this episode? There really wasn't one. Honestly, it was a murder investigation, and it was dumb. The ending of the episode where they go to, I will say, I loved the ending when the pet shop owner fed all these fishes food and was just like, Chelsea, 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 because he knows how many times he's going to have to replace the fish. That was hilarious. That stuff I loved. That kind of humor was really funny, but anything that didn't have to do with the film noir, I didn't really like, I have to say. I just thought this was a really off episode. It was very strange for Girl Meets World standards, and it was weird for TV standards in general. And before I found out it was a season 1 episode, I just thought they maybe, like, did the season out of order. But luckily now there's not going to be any more of that. I don't want any more season 1 rejected episodes. I mean, if an episode's rejected, it's meant to be rejected. It's not meant to be good. I mean, some people compare this to a Seinfeld episode, which apparently is the only bad episode of Seinfeld besides, like, the finale. I mean, I've heard people say that there's a Seinfeld episode that wasn't meant to be seen. It was a lost episode, and it was one of the weakest episodes of the show. And this was definitely one of Girl Meets World's weakest episodes. I mean, it was funny, but it just felt off. I mean, Girl Meets World doesn't need to be like this. This is not Girl Meets World, okay? Any other Disney show, this is why I don't like Disney shows, because they do random-ass episodes like this that don't make any sense, and that's exactly what Girl Meets World was. It didn't make any sense at all, and it's not the Girl Meets World that I love. It's not the Girl Meets World I think you guys love, and I tried to really enjoy this episode. Again, there were things I liked, but for the most part, I really couldn't enjoy this episode because it just felt so off from what Girl Meets World is supposed to be. It was very strange, and I overall thought this was just a very odd, off episode for me. Definitely very odd. If I had to rate this episode, definitely a C+. I thought this was very weird. But that's it for my review. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. Was it as weird for you as it was for me? It just felt weird because it's a lost episode and it's not meant to be seen, so why the hell would you air it? Like, I don't understand why they aired this. I honestly don't. I mean, no, it wasn't that bad. It didn't, like, kill the show or anything, but it was so, like, not Girl Meets World and so out of context and didn't make any sense to me that I didn't see the point in this airing. I really didn't. It didn't further the plot of anything. It didn't change my view on the story. It really, and especially after that amazing episode last week, we get this. It's like, we get an amazing episode about teachers and how important they are, and then we get an episode about a class fish. Like, that's where we are. But that's it for my review. Hope you enjoy it. I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for another classic movie review, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.